Howdy, everybody. It's David Duford here at davidduford.com, where I help insurance agents like you become top producing insurance professionals. Today, we are continuing our live stream training on the topic of selling Medicare Advantage. This is one of the new product lines that I'm helping agents get involved with, specifically for those agents that want to learn how to sell Medicare Advantage all year long. And potentially to a cross-sale environment to your final expense leads if you're working final expense. If not, to learn systems where you don't necessarily have to sell final expense. But other than that, I am joined by my comrade in training here, Luis Moreno, who heads up the Medicare Advantage program. Luis, can you say hello, please?
Hello there. This is Luis Moreno. Hope you guys are doing well.
Hey, Luis, thanks for joining me on. So let's get into it. We're going to do like a shorter kind of bullet point type of conference call today. We're going to talk about a handful of different topics, which I think you believe, and I agree, are some of the most commonly asked. So the first point I have here that we're going to talk about, by the way, if you're watching this, feel free to ask questions live. You can also ask questions if you're watching a recording of this in the comments. I'll be happy to comment below. So let's talk about the money. Let's get right to it, Moreno. Luis, show me the money is the note you put down for me. Tell me what's possible in selling Medicare Advantage. Like, what is the kind of income you can make? What is the type of, renewals that you can make? Kind of give us the overall rundown for someone who's not familiar with this business model.
Man, most definitely. Well, I'll tell you, on Show Me the Money, I like to start my talks with that because a lot of agents that are doing final expense are receiving commissions, and most of it is upfront money with a little bit on the backside or the renewal side. Well, on Medicare, this is all, I guess another way to put it, it's all service oriented. So I tell a lot of agents, look, go do your final expense. Don't stop doing that. That's going to be all your upfront money. This Medicare is the salary or the base or the amount of money that you're going to make all year long without having to do anything. You just take care of your book of business. So Show Me the Money always gets agents excited. In 2020, what most agents are going to get when they sell a Medicare Advantage policy, if it is a new beneficiary to Medicare, they will make $510 in new business commissions. If it is a renewal, for example, let's just say they have a plan, but they end up recommending and kind of flipping them to a different plan because they have better coverages or a better network, for whatever reason, it's moved from one carrier to the other, then they're going to receive half of that, which is $255. And the beauty of this business is that as long as they stay your customers, you're going to receive lifetime renewals. And that is huge. With a lot of different products, the renewal amount decreases and then it gets to a point where it ends. Well, with this one, it is not. So they're going to be receiving this $255 as long as that customer stays in their book of business. And so it's a heck of a way to build a salary or a pension. And I give agents some numbers to shoot for. And I'm starting to realize with final expense agents that this number that I would normally say would take an agent 5 years, with final expense agents, I'm seeing it's going to take them maybe 2 years, maybe 3, with the work ethic that they have. But if an agent is able to bring on and maintain a book of 500 customers, they're looking at about a $10,000 a month. That's just all they got to do is get out of bed. They don't have to do anything
before they
else,
get out of bed.
But they're looking at it. Yeah, exactly. They're gonna make $10,000 a year in service commissions. And so, what happens? Well, if I do 1,000, well, you just double that amount. Now you're looking at $20,000 a month in service commissions. So it is. It's an exciting business to get into. I get asked this question. Well, is this the right time to get in? The numbers are I see different sets of numbers. I see statistics that point out 10 to 12,000 seniors a day turning 65. I've seen some as high as 15,000 a day. So we're in a target-rich environment, and this right now, this time in history, is perfect to get into the Medicare business.
Yeah, anything, I agree, in the senior market is a ripe opportunity because the fundamental demographics are that the baby boomers are now entering this 60 and older phase of their lives, and more now than ever, they're going to need help with other things like Medicare or final expense or financial planning, like with annuity sales. And anything that you do is just going to be an absolute winner for sure.
Oh, I completely agree with you, David. And I also tell these agents that are sitting on the sidelines or debating whether they're going to do this or not. This is one product that seniors need help with.
And they want to talk about too. That's a big thing. Like, it's much easier to make a conversation about Medicare in a sales conversation than it is about life insurance or annuities or something like that.
Yes, it is easier. And it also, once you help them with that, look at the street credibility that you just built with them.
Absolutely.
You just helped them unravel a very complicated product and set them up in a great plan. Well, now you just build up some credibility with this guy so that you can market your other products, your final expense or your ancillary products. So it is a great lead-in to these seniors.
So tell us the process in getting started in Medicare Advantage. It's there's obviously an understanding. With most agents, there's more testing involved. Can you kind of take us through like a 1,000-foot overview of what contracting is like, what the credentialing, AHIP, and certification process is like?
Yeah, most definitely. So on getting started, it's not as hard as it seems. For starters, you've got to have your health license. So I've noticed a lot of agents just have their life-only license. So for starters, you've got to have that health or that general license. So make sure you've got that first. Now, once you've got your licensing done, then the next thing that they've got to do, David, is they got to get a hold of you. Okay? If they're interested and they want to start the process, they need to contact you by phone or by email and just simply say, David, what I want to do now is I want to get into Medicare. What do I start off with? Okay? What you end up doing is getting some information from them, and then you send them over a link to request the contracts. Is that correct?
Yeah, very simple, very straightforward. Everything is taken care of. You just need to reach out to me by going to daviddufour.com/contact to really get the process started.
So they request the contracting. Once we get you contracted with the carriers, and I've had a few questions about, well, who do I sign up with? I always tell new agents, sign up with the big nationals. That's where you want to start. So get the United Healthcare, the Aetna, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana. Get the big boys. And then there may be some regional ones that are strong in your area. So you want to pick the little smaller ones up. They'll have access to the majority of the carriers in their area. Now, if they don't know where to do that, David, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a link that maybe you can forward to them, and they can actually go to Medicare.gov, type in their zip code, and then fill in a few little extra information that is needed, and it will list all the carriers that are in their area.
Yeah, and just so you guys know that's interested in that, just to let you know too, Luis, I've already filmed the video on doing that. We talked last time, and I said, oh, okay, I'm going to figure this out. So I found the zip code thing, and it's real easy, guys. It lists all the carriers that are available in the area. You just go under Medicare Advantage after you do that, and just that's how you figure out what to get. So just pick up all of them.
Correct. So once they decide on the carriers that they want to get appointed with, then we get the contracting done. Once you get contracting done, the next step is to take the AHIP. Now, what the AHIP is, this is a test that is done online. It is a 5-module course, and it is a tough test to take. It's a tough course to take, but when you get done with that course, you're going to have a great foundation for Medicare. You're going to know the history of Medicare. You're going to know the ins and outs of it. You'll know well, I call it the Medicare 101. It is your basic Medicare course. So extremely important that class is taken and that you get a good foundation with that.
It really
After
does
you've
teach
taken
you the fundamentals of Medicare really, really well.
It does. When you get done with it, I mean, every time that I take it, I keep learning new stuff about Medicare, and so it's good information to have. Now, once you get done with that, then you transmit your results to the carriers you're appointed with, and then each carrier is going to want you to do a certification with them. Not anything like the AHIP. I mean, the AHIP is a pretty big course. The carrier courses are more product based, and they're a lot simpler. They're open book, and they're pretty easy to pass. Then after you've done your carrier certification, then you get the green light to sell. At that point, you're ready to go.
Perfect.
And AEP is just around the corner. So for those that are debating or sitting on the sidelines, well, it's a little too close. Well, no, not really. We still have plenty of time for you to get in and not miss the annual enrollment, which starts October the 15th.
How many weeks, days would you suggest a new agent to taking AHIP really set aside to make sure that they're going to pass this thing?
I would say a week. I would do one module a day and really get a foundation. The good thing about the AHIP is that the slides or the course materials are downloadable in a PowerPoint presentation, and so you can download the slides, study them, spend some time learning the information. So I would say do one module a day, make sure you get it, and then the following week take the test. The test is a 50 question test, and you got to score 90. So you got to get 45 out of 50 correct.
So,
and you do get 3 tries.
It's a good question here from the audience. Luzolini, sorry if I messed your name up. I'm sorry. She asked, is there a place to go and study online for AHIP where there's videos involved? Is AHIP provide any of that, or is there any additional like video-based training you can do that you know of?
No, the good thing about AHIP is as you're doing the course, it's going to give you quizzes in between.
Right.
And as a tip, what I tell agents is print these quizzes out, because a lot of the questions on the test are coming from the quizzes. So you'll have, I'm going to just guess here, going off memory, probably 10 to 15 quizzes for each module. And so what I do is I print them out and just keep them as a reference while I'm taking the test.
Right.
So other than that, is there a study guide? Well, you're going to have the slides already downloaded. So you'll have those on your computer that you can print. They did take some functionality away from it where you can do a Control F and do a search for the topic. That's gone, but you can still just print them out. And as you're taking the test, which is a 2-hour time test, you can reference those slides back to see if it can help you with that question.
Right. Johnson from the chat.
No, there isn't.
Sorry, a little bit of a delay, Luis. I'm sorry.
No worries. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Johnson said here that you can also do screenshots of the quiz. Remember names also. That will help you pass the AHIP. And yeah, thank you.
So
I appreciate it. And
that's another tip. So
yeah. Go ahead and finish your thought, Luis. I'm sorry.
No, that's a great tip. So a lot of the questions, they'll be Mr. Jones, and it's usually the same question, but the answers are the same. But they're, in the quiz, the answer may be letter A, and in the test, the answer is letter C. Right. So they change the order of the answers. But yes, that's why I like printing the quiz questions, because it will help you out.
So let's talk about transitioning from final expense to Medicare. So a lot of our audience are going to be selling final expense as a lead product. How do we change the discussion on a final expense lead to a conversation about Medicare? And feel free to open it up to other kinds of leads too if people are working other kinds as well. I think that's just as relevant.
Most definitely. So a lot of agents are afraid of compliance and afraid of talking Medicare during an appointment. And there's you cannot solicit for Medicare Advantage. So there's a lot of guidelines that say you can't door knock, you can't make phone calls or cold calls for Medicare Advantage. But there's some exceptions to the rule. And a lot of the agents that we're working right now are having great success with these exceptions or these little scenarios where you can overcome the guidelines. One of them is called the EBR rule, which is an existing business relationship. If they are your customers, paying customers, you have the green light to target them. Okay, so I tell agents, work your book of business.
Absolutely.
That is low-hanging fruit. We've heard even from our compliance officer up at One Life, we have the complete green light to solicit our existing book of business. So that's number one. I'll tell final expense agents, most definitely, what would be call your existing book of business. Now, the other way to do it, and this is where these agents are having some good success with this, is what about when you don't have an existing business relationship? How can you bring up Medicare compliantly? Well, the easiest thing we have found is we have a button that we made up, and it's called, it's just a button you wear on your person, and it's Ask Me About Medicare. It's a red, white, and blue button, and agents are wearing that, and people are asking them, hey, I want to talk about Medicare. And I will tell you, seniors definitely want to talk about Medicare. They don't know if they're enrolled in the right plan. There's a lot of questions around it. And so just wearing that button alone, if they ask you about it, you've got the green light.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
It's like
so there's the
flare that you wear if you
Go
remember
ahead.
Office Space, Schlotsky's movie. I don't know, Luis, if you ever
Yes.
saw that movie. It's the kind of flare you want to wear.
No, I would. Exactly. So the Ask Me About Medicare is huge. That button is just it's a gold mine. These and I have a lot of agents saying that they go in there for a final expense appointment and they're wearing that button, and the conversation always is switching to Medicare. So it is great to wear that button. The other way to attack it is, let's just say that they don't ask you about Medicare, but in your process of final expense where you're acquiring some underwriting data, some information about their doctors, information about their health conditions, the medication list. Well, one question to ask, and this is pretty simple, is, David, are you paying too much, or do you think you're paying too much for your prescription drugs? And if they say, well, yes, well, at that point, you can bring out the conversation about low income subsidy, which is a Social Security program that helps seniors with their prescription drugs if they qualify based on income and assets. And one of the statistics that we do know is that out of every 4 seniors, only 1 is enrolled in the program. The other 3 that qualify are not.
Really? Wow.
So just by
it's
asking,
that big. Wow. I thought it was actually more commonly that it was, utilized. So it's 75% of eligibility aren't even in the program. Wow, that's incredible.
Well, that's because it's not advertised. Unless they are knowledgeable, or unless they have an agent enroll them in the past, there's really not a way for them to find out about LIS unless they do some research.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's where we come in and say, let's look at your income. And when you start talking about LIS, it's going to automatically gravitate to Medicare, just because you're going to start talking about the assistance that it's going to give them with the prescription drugs.
Right.
And so it's kind of a way to flank them, not directly hit them with Medicare,
Sure.
but flank them with Medicare on the side.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
So I think that's a great approach.
Right.
Is using the LIS angle to get in there and help them.
Perfect.
So there's plenty of compliant ways to bring up Medicare. And I will tell you, and I give the story. I have an agency, and I deal with a lot of seniors, a lot of my customers turning 65, and I do miss the ball sometimes, and I let those go through, and I'm not perfect, but when they come in and they see me and they're like, Luis, I don't know what to do. I mean, sometimes they'll have a pile of mail a foot high,
right,
with every carrier pounding them, sending a mail saying, hey, enroll in our plan, and then ours is the best. And then you have another carrier saying, well, we're the best, and look at our benefits. And it's a pretty hard process for a senior to kind of decipher all the mail and choose a plan.
right.
And so that's where agents can come in and really be a hero to these seniors and help them to enroll in the right plan.
Now you'd made a note on your notes you sent me here, Luis, about ancillary products where we have dental, vision, health, cancer, heart attack, and stroke, and hospital indemnity. Kind of help me describe what you wanted to talk about regarding that and how that relates to the Medicare Advantage sale.
Most definitely. So in the process of helping these seniors out and helping them in choosing a plan, we help agents with that process. And it's not a hard process to do. There's a couple of things that you need to do for a senior in order to assist them in enrolling into the right plan. I think number one is they need to most definitely do a formulary search. They've got to check the meds and make sure that the meds that they are on are going to be on the plan that they're going to recommend. The second thing that they've got to do is they've got to do their homework and make sure that the doctors that the beneficiary is seeing are in the network. So they've got to do those two things and help and assist them. And as long as they do those two things, they're able to help these beneficiaries enroll in the right plan. Now, some of the plans that they enroll them in, depending on whether they're going to go with an Advantage plan or potentially a supplement, a lot of these plans will have extra benefits like dental, vision, hearing, over-the-counter, transportation, gym memberships. Plans have a lot of these benefits in there. If they end up enrolling in a plan, for example, like a PPO or maybe a Medicare supplement, they won't have all these extra benefits. So I like, and it can be brought up. Usually I let them bring it up and say, well, what about this? As long as they're leading me towards these ancillary products, I get them to sign a new scope and initial these additional products that they want to talk about. And then that kind of gives me the green light to bring it on. But I put dental, vision, and hearing. If a plan doesn't have it built in, you can offer these seniors a dental, vision, and hearing plan. You can also talk about cancer. Now, their health coverage is going to cover the treatment, but what about a lump sum payment with a cancer plan?
Right.
That's also something that I've seen seniors are, the statistics I see are 1 out of 2 are going to get cancer, already have it. So cancer is I have lately been throwing cancer out there, and it's been catching on. Heart attack and stroke, that's another endorsement or standalone policy that you can offer. And then the hospital indemnity, this is a way and to help seniors make a Medicare Advantage look like a Medicare supplement to an extent, and with not all the added costs of a Medicare supplement. So these are extra products that you're able to talk to a senior about, and not potentially at the time that you have your appointment if they ask you about them, but if not, you can schedule a second appointment a couple of days later to come back and discuss these products with them. So these seniors, it's a target-rich environment. There's a lot of products, a lot of potential commissions that an agent can make. But again, these are products that seniors need. We're not trying to oversell these seniors, but it is all these coverages all go hand in hand and help seniors out.
Give us the inside scoop on the expectation realistically of service work. Is this a heavy service work type of product, or is it kind of like final expense where you sell it and never talk to the person again?
Well, the one thing is you always want to talk to these seniors. So I always, my business practices, and when we train agents, we tell them, you should at least contact them at least once a quarter. And it can just be a courtesy call. Hey, how's it going, David? How's your plan treating you? Is there anything I can help you with? Now, if they do come back and start asking you for some assistance, the hardest part with this business is that you're not allowed to assist them. Okay? Unless you have a signed form that allows you to have access to their private information. When you call the service centers for these for any kind of service work, they are not going to let you be involved. So I've had seniors come here to my office and like, can you help me with this? And we'll do a 3-way call. Well, they'll make sure that I step out of the room. They do not want me in any part of that conversation. And so I tell a lot of the agents, how much service work do you have to do? Well, very little. The carriers make it very difficult for you to get involved in claims issues and coverage issues. And so, I'll give you an example. I run a P&C agency, and I've got 9 people handling a book of business. That's equivalent to just me, a one-man show, making the same kind of money, handling a Medicare book of business.
That's incredible.
And so I have 9 people running this site. I mean, it's 9 to 1 ratio is kind of what happens with me. So there's very little service work. Now, I do love taking the calls from them. I love trying to help them out with a few minor things. They may say, hey, is this doctor in network? Now, I'll do a provider search. They may come in and say, hey, they prescribed this medication and it's not covered. What happened? I can do a formulary search. But when we get into specifics, I always tell them, you need to call the service center. Call the 1-800 number in the back of their card, and they will help you out. And most seniors are pretty good with that. They're like, okay, well, no problem. They call and they get it taken care of. Right. So very little service work.
So let's talk about marketing here. So we kind of hit on this a bit earlier, but I see a few notes here we may not have gone into. So we talked about working your book of business. I figured that's what you mean by Bob on the notes here, correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's correct.
Now, what about COI? What is that?
Oh, okay. So low-hanging fruit, work your book of business. Compliance is out the door. As long as they're your customers, you're ready to rock and roll. Now, a COI, I call that a center of influence.
Okay.
I work with some doctors. I have a great relationship with one doctor group, and they refer me out to their patients that are turning 65. And so if you've got a contact with a doctor, I also work very closely with a few pharmacies here in town. And so the pharmacists, those guys are in the business of dispensing medicine. They don't want to get into conversations with their customers about coverage. And so I go in there and I tell them, look, here are my cards. Have them call me. I already know what plans this pharmacy takes. And so pharmacists are a great center of influence that I use to get referrals from. So doctors, pharmacists, I'm a P&C agent, but I look at myself as one of the odd ones. The majority of the P&C agents tend to stay in their lane. They tend to focus on just property and casualty, maybe some life insurance, but they very, very rarely will step into the Medicare lane. And so if you want to talk to your agent, I'd go in there and have a conversation with them and ask them, hey, what do we got to do to work out a relationship where I can take care of your customers that are turning 65? And I will tell you, I think that's for P&C agents, they just don't want to get into Medicare. They're busy enough as it is. And so going in there and talking to your own personal P&C agent may be a great starting point to start getting referrals from Medicare.
And what about retail events?
That's kind of what I meant by centers of...
Yeah, and grassroots marketing. Where do you see that playing into selling Medicare Advantage?
So retail events during AEP, and now this one is a little late, but you can definitely get prepared for next year. Retail events. So here in my area, United has a contract with a grocery store chain, and during AEP, they will allow you to set up a booth at the grocery store, and I still do this, and I do it a lot for retention. And so I go to a little store outside of the San Antonio, and I man that store for a couple of days a week, and I have a lot of customers come and talk to me about all the excitement, because during this time of the year, they're getting inundated with mail, with advertisements and on the TV about Medicare and how they should make changes. Well, I sit there and I'm a resource for these guys. And so retail is a great opportunity for AEP, which is the annual enrollment, which is between October the 15th and December the 7th. But that's not the only time that you can work. There's plenty of other times that you can get out there and work. And we'll talk about that if there's some time, David, about what else outside of AEP, where else can they sell? Grassroots marketing. This one is doing a lot of events. Senior centers, volunteering at the food banks where there's a lot of seniors that are low income. I've seen agents set up booths out at the Dollar General. And so just getting out there and working centers that are in their area could be another good way to get your name out there in the Medicare community and get yourself in front of a lot of seniors. So grassroots marketing, it's like planting a seed. You're not going to set up a booth and they're just going to walk up to you. But if they see you enough times out at the senior centers, and they're all over town, I think that's a good way for an agent to get a good start.
Right.
So I think all four of those models, all four of those marketing options are extremely important for an agent who wants to get into this business.
Right, absolutely. Well, Luis, I appreciate it.
So I think so.
Yeah, sorry, a little bit of a
delay
delay here. Yeah, you want to wrap it up there, Luis, and I'll jump in to conclude?
Sure, most definitely. So I think, agents, for those of you considering, we've got your book of business you can work. You've got centers of influence like doctors and pharmacists that you can partner up with, retail events that you can work, and then also the grassroots marketing. A lot of opportunity out there to get in front of seniors and helping them with their Medicare.
Yeah, Lou asked in the chat here, can you set up a booth? And I assume that would be the case depending on the rules of the different places you go, correct?
Yes. So there are some guidelines that you have to follow. But yes, setting up a booth, you'd have to talk with the venue that you want to set up with, and then also you'd want to get with the carrier. And a lot of these carriers will sponsor. They'll give you the booth, they'll give you the table, chairs, and the tablecloths and all the materials so that you can set up.
Yeah, it's one of the things about Medicare Advantage different from final expenses. There's a lot more marketing support that comes from the carrier at their cost than what you'd find in final expense. It's really up to you in final expense to figure out the lead scenario, but a lot of these carriers will pitch in and help.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You just got to ask for it. Give them your business plan. Let them know that you're an FE agent and that you're what you're trying to do. And a lot of these guys, and one thing that's extremely important, if you get into this business, you're going to want to get with these account executives or the representatives in your area for the different carriers, and talk to them about your business model. This is what I want to do. A lot of them will co-op a lot of marketing with you. So yes, I agree with you 100% with that one, David, is they do get a lot more assistance on the marketing side.
So to wrap things up here, Luis, first of all, thank you for your time and going really into the detail of how Medicare Advantage works, from the sales system to the marketing to the service side of the business. And the offer I want to make and extend to all of you watching this, whether you're live on the call or in recording, is that we are going to start, as we have really for the past 6 months or so, heavily pushing in the direction of recruiting agents and even agencies that are interested in following this sales and marketing system that we've designed in mind with selling Medicare Advantage, especially to those of you out there who have sold final expense or are successful at final expense, and you want to start developing a passive income stream. This is going to be a big topic I'm going to bring up a lot in my new content is the importance of those of you with experience to start thinking and taking action on creating passive income streams in addition to selling your final expense, really to just realize the true benefit of what the insurance business can provide, which is an amazing source of income without necessarily having to go out and sell new people and prospect every day. And also to you agency owners too, that want to jump into the Medicare business but don't know quite where to start. You want an expert to help you get along, to help train your agents, to help get you to the point where, yeah, you can, as well as an agency manager, build passive income as well as grow your agents to develop a book of business on their own and generate passive income as well. So if this is something that's interesting to you, whether you're an agent or an agency or an aspiring agency even, and you would like to leverage our talents and Luis's talent and what we have to bring and offer to the table, here's what I'd like you to do next. If you go to daviddufour.com, click the Join Dave's Agency button at the top. That will take you to a page where you'll see where it says Medicare Advantage. Click on that, and you'll see a series of videos that go into more depth about what we talked about today and kind of describe the opportunity in a little bit more information, in a little bit more detail. And then you can start the process of reaching out to me if you've got questions. We can do a consultation call to clarify how things would work if there's any remaining questions. Or you can begin the contracting process, doing your AHIP, getting all the credentialing out of the way, and getting up and running. So other than that, thank you guys for your time. Luis, I appreciate your time as well.
Sure. I'll be glad to help. And if they got any questions, they can forward them to you and send them my way, and I would be glad to help them and hold their hand.
Great. Luis, thanks again for your time. I appreciate it. Till next time.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, David. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Conference unmuted.